Hello everyone, Kim here with the process video for You Are Something Sweet page that I designed for Hip Kit Club using the lovely July kits, which are fabulous, and some of the fantastic freebie and subscriber cut files that we have loaded into our website. Over there on the iPad you can see what it will look like when you go onto our website, log in, and under downloads you will find the cut files. So today I'm using the geode. Now of course using one of these types of cut files that require lots of fussy cutting and filling does take a while. So this video, even though I've shortened it and sped it up a little, is obviously quite involved. Starting with the leaves and stalks, I used this Pinkfresh Studio piece of paper that had all of the little colored and pattern sections, using the blues and the greens, which seemed a bit more stalk and leaf-like than the pretty colors. It did the trick. I alternated the blue and green for some interest and obviously to help balance the colors out. You'll notice that I'm using the actual segments cut left behind from the cut file as templates so that I can get the more or less the right shape to slip underneath the cut file. Just adding a little of the Queen & Company gel adhesive. It doesn't bleed and it goes on really smoothly. And it's perfect for a job like this with its little nozzle. I'm just roughly sticking them on. You don't have to get too pedantic about how much adhesive you add. A few dots here and there does the trick. Now what I'm going to do is fill the strawberry. Now initially I thought what I would do is fill the individual sections of the strawberry, but it was so painstaking and just so time consuming, and then realized in a brainwave moment that this Pinkfresh paper, being so colorful and having the patchwork effect of patterns and watercolor, would be absolutely perfect for the strawberry. So what I did is, in order to just balance the color out a little better and to stick to the peaches and strawberry, peaches and pink color shades, I covered the blue section just with another piece of paper cut from that sheet, and then so just balancing the colors out a little more, because there was quite a lot of white, and with the cut file being white, I just felt like it needed a little more color contrast. There we go, strawberry finished. Much easier than cutting and filling little individual segments. You'll see in a moment what I eventually did with the strawberries. I actually cut the leaves and stalk away from the body of the strawberry. My thoughts were it would make it a little more three-dimensional. I was worried that with all the colors going on, you wouldn't be able to differentiate between the body of the strawberry and the leaves once the layout was put together. So I'm actually not sure if I videoed that section. Oh yes, I did. Here we go. See, I'm just trimming it off, making sure to leave enough white border on the leaves so that it would hold the pattern paper underneath. There. Now adding foam adhesive and giving it a more 3D effect is simple to do once it's separated. So now what I'm doing is I am going to plan and prepare for my mixed media using some Ranger gesso with the matte finish. I'm just using an ordinary credit card, and I'm just adding a thin layer in that section where I want to add the mixed media. The great thing about the cardstock that comes, the white cardstock that comes in the Hip Kit Club cardstock pack, is that it's the Basil Basics heavy duty quality. So you'll notice that piece of paper has a good generous layer of gesso on it, and it doesn't warp once dry, so it works really well. Now what I'm doing is I've taken some of the brand new Pinkfresh Studio liquid watercolor paints and the trusty packaging technique, using it to apply layers of the turquoise ink to the gessoed area. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to start layering the amounts of ink. So start small and then just build the color up in areas, because I didn't want a really flat blue area. I want it to be more true to form in terms of watercolor, so I want dark and light areas. Now I'm using a piece of paper kitchen towel just to mop up the areas where the packaging has caused a straight edge. I just think that it looks a little unnatural when doing that, so by just dabbing it away and softening those areas, it looks more authentic. You'll see what I did there is that I added some of the lovely new range of oxide inks we got in previous kits. I wanted to start getting some different densities of blue, and of course those ink pads are fabulous to do that. As it turns out, they're almost identical to the Pinkfresh Studio watercolor paints, so they coordinated really well. Again, what I did here, just to give you an idea, to add some really lovely splattering techniques, is to add some water to your packaging and then using a paintbrush, flick it off the edge of the packaging onto the page for some lovely splatter details. Next, I need to dry the page. I'm going to use my heat gun for this process because the background paper is really sturdy and can handle the added heat. Also, you'd notice what I did before I started applying the heat to the wet area is I made sure that the heat gun was pre-warmed. I just find that pre-warming your heat gun minimizes the warping of the background page. Another great way to ensure that your paint is completely dry, because obviously there are areas that are more wet than others, is that I just tilt the page from side to side. What this does is causes the wet ink to continue running and then shows me exactly which areas require more heat to make sure that it is dry. Piece of kitchen towel, make sure that the job is done properly and mops up any small areas that I might have missed. Now what I did here is I used some Tattered Angels Cornflower Blue chalk ink. We haven't received this color in the kits before, and I really wanted to add this cornflower blue to make sure that there was good color balance happening. The watercolor paint from Pinkfresh Studio was quite turquoise, and I was worried that it wouldn't coordinate with the papers correctly. So adding the chalk ink like I did, I just sprayed it onto the page and then added a few splatters. You'll find now what I've got with that combination of colors is a really nice blended background. So here we have the completed mixed media section. I'm working on the left hand page border using some of that lovely black and white citrus paper from Pinkfresh Studio and one of the scalloped pieces from the exclusive paper designed by Kimberly Hutchinson. I felt that choosing pink as opposed to orange again brought some nice color contrast. Once I'd finished the strawberry, I realized that there was a dominance of the peach, and I just needed a secondary color to balance things out nicely. For my photo, I'm matting it on a couple of designs, pattern paper designs. The blue pattern is from one of the PL cards, and the black and white dotted pattern was from the backing card from one of the exclusive puffy sticker sets that came with the July kits, designed again by the ever talented Kimberly Hutchinson. What I'm doing here is just layering some elements to make the cluster more interesting. A little yellow strip adds a little bit more color. Some tabs, one of those gorgeous little felt bows from Bella Boulevard. Some fussy cut flowers from that same piece of Pinkfresh Studio paper. Start to balance out the black and white graphic feel that is coming through in the page. I also think that it balances out the profusion of color, giving one's eye a chance to just rest in areas. So they almost become like visual anchors, which I think is very necessary for a really bright, colorful page like this. If you've watched some of my previous process videos, you'll know that I almost never put items on a page directly, glue them directly onto the background. I always use foam adhesive. I just really love the way that adding different heights of foam adhesive adds those dimensional shadows, which I think are really important, especially when photographing these types of pages for the internet. So yeah, bit of useless information. Now, as I was sort of progressing with the page design, originally I'd thought that I would stick my photo cluster on the left-hand side, right-hand side of the strawberry, but then once working with it, realized actually I preferred the feeling of the photo on the left-hand side. I know it's a little unpredictable. One would predictably place it on the opposite side to the grounding border, but there was something so nice about having this sort of heavy cluster on the left-hand side. So I was happy with the new placement. Now what I'm doing here is my usual technique to test out title work. Cutting a piece of plastic packaging, I popped it over the photograph, and now what I'm doing is just positioning the puffy sticker alphas, which incidentally are Hip Kit Club exclusives. Aren't they cute? I love that they are so small, and it makes them really easy to add a conversational title to a page. So you'll notice now by leaving it on the actual piece of packaging, I can shift it around the photograph to make sure that my positioning is 100% accurate before I commit and add it to the photograph. Because I don't know if you've, like me, you've done that in the past, you've gotten brave, added the alphas straight to the photo, and then realized, oh yay, it's crooked or it's in the wrong place, and then you've got this drama of trying to get the stickers off, and then there's adhesive on the photo, or it completely ruins the photo. So yeah, I have learned it the hard way. Use plastic packaging before you commit. What I'm doing now is just building my elements up. I'm trying to ensure that there's a good mixture of not only small embellishments but also different types of embellishments. So you'll find that there are cardstock stickers, there are actual stickers, there are fussy cut bits of paper, there are some of the little acrylic die cuts, there are a mixture of items which just adds to the visual impact of the layout. Those stickers that I'm working with are part of my Savannah Dreams collection that I designed for Pretty Little Studio. They worked really well with the way Kimberly put the kits together, and really well with other manufacturers' products, so I was very fortunate. What I'm doing here is again adding what I call a visual anchor. By doing this, I'm now starting to add tension to the page so that there are areas with more interest helping to draw one's eye around the page design, as opposed to having all the detailing sort of heavily situated in one area. How cute is that mixed sheet of little puffy elements? There are so many colors and there are so many different designs. it means that you never have to panic about being conservative because you're going to run out. There are so many that the chances of running out before you've actually finished your entire kit are very slim. So it's really nice to just be able to be free about adding bits. These last few elements that I'm adding here are again for color balance. So there's little bits of yellow peeping out, there's some pink peeping out. You might not, they might not seem too important, but in the greater scheme of things, when you're looking for a very well balanced and designed page, those tiny elements can make or break a page. So I'm really happy with how they finish the design off. My handwritten journaling fits perfectly next to the clustered title over here. One tip that you might want to consider is if you're writing with a felt tip pen straight onto gesso, be careful not to rub it immediately like I did, because the gesso obviously creates sort of a waterproof surface and the pen doesn't dry immediately. I ended up smudging my journaling. Anyhow. And here what I'm doing, last but not least, is adding my date, just using an ordinary library stamp onto the little tag to finishings off perfectly. So there you have it, friends, my page. I'm so happy with it. I love the colors. It's so vibrant and sweet and happy, and the filling of that die cut shape was well worth the effort. It's a gorgeous page in our daughter's album. I really hope she's going to appreciate it. And yeah, I've enjoyed showing you my process video. Be sure to check my channel next week for another one. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.